Alright, you chads, let's talk trend. I'm going to show you the exact right timing that the trend changes using just price action so that you can capitalize on this to obtain that green. We'll make the dough later. This is part 2. So if you haven't already watched part 1, this is part 2. Now, since this is going to completely revolutionize the way you look at charts, I need you to do one thing, and I need you to hit that like button so that I can continue making these videos for you. So the last video we kind of just talked about accumulation, distribution, how the trend is going to continue, and how the trend ends, and that's simply by breaking those zones. So we need to first look at what's the exact right moment that the trend ends. And I'm going to give this to you rather simply, and we're just going to jump into it so that you can understand. So quite clearly, this is a downtrend within an uptrend, right? So at some point, this downtrend is going to end and it's going to continue back to the upside. So the moment that we know that the trend has shifted is when the candle that brought us to the low, not the candle rather, but the movement that brought us to the low. So the leg, so right here, so if I draw this here, this is the movement that brought us to the absolute low in this major trend, right? So this is actually just slightly lower than there. That it's maybe not the best example, but this is a bit lower, so you can actually tell it's a little bit lower. So this leg, when that level is broken, so if I draw this as a triangle, there you can see that when this is broken and closed above, then we can see that it breaks up, it retests it on this wick here, and then continues back to the upside there. So now when we want to continue this trend up, we can see, okay, it's going up, it's breaking new levels, breaking new levels, breaking new levels, and then this is the level that brings us to the high. Make it very clear. To there, and then to here. You can see that after it's broken and closed below, now first of all, I want to just note that this is not closing below. It wicks below, comes back up, and closes on the line, but now it closes below, and then it does its retest, which is very common. It's always going to do the retest pretty much, and then we'll continue down to the downside. Now unfortunately this doesn't look like it's too good. It comes back up, it goes down a little bit, but you can see again this is now the new low. So if I draw, it's now created a new low beyond this low here. So now this is the new low. So what's the level that brought us to the low? Well, that's pretty obvious, isn't it? We could say on a larger scale, remember I was saying that the trend on a higher time frame is there's gonna be trends within the larger trend. So this is the larger trend, right? And then this would be a smaller trend right there. Can I draw this? Right here to here. So you can see that this is again a fake out. So this is a fake out, and it didn't actually close above. So this could have just rejected all the way down, and we wouldn't have determined that the trend has shifted there. Delete that, delete this. But we did break back up, and we can say that now the trend, let me draw this here, right here, when it's broken above, that's when our trend has now shifted. So now we assume that it's going to go up. So this is kind of, it's back and forth a little bit because it is consolidating. So the problem we need to be careful of is that if it's consolidating for too long, you could lose a lot of money. And this is true with any trend trading strategy. Moving averages, goes back and forth a lot, things like this. This is the better strategy to follow because it's very strict, and you can see them with these candles, right? So the level that brought us to the high now, and you guys might have to watch this a couple times. I'm going to give you some examples. The level that brought us to the high is clearly this leg there, right? Let me delete that larger one. And that is the low that we would need to break in order to switch back. But as you can see, it retests it. It wicks just slightly above or slightly below to catch a couple stops, and then continues to the upside. So this actually works exactly as we predicted, as you can see. So we keep breaking levels as we come back up. So this is now a new high here. So this is our low that we would need to break, but it breaks above. And then we keep making levels. Let's look at this. This is a consolidation range. This is our low that brings us to the high. I'm not going to draw a line because it's just straight up. So our level that we would need to break this time to change the trend is right here. Now you'll notice when we come back down, we're going to pop off this every single time because it's just front rounded a little bit, but it pops up and then it breaks down. So as it gets closer, you can see that it's dying in pressure because there's people with orders resting here and up here, right? But more and more as it comes down. And then we break below. We do a little bit of a retest right on this zone because the level that brought us, can I draw a box here? It's going to retest here. And this is the level that brought us to our new low now. So this is now the level that we need to break on the smaller time frame. But on a larger time frame, what's the level that brings us to the low? Well, quite clearly, this is the swing high to the swing low. So this is not actually a trend change when we're breaking back up here. This is just simply a retracement. What did I do there? This is simply a retracement to retest these levels before we continue down. And that brings me to my next point, is the difference between a retracement and a trend, or a trend change rather. So this is a trend change on the smaller time frame. As you can see, smaller time frame, this is the level that brought us to the low. This is the high there, if I can draw that for you. And it's broken, and it's broken with conviction, right? So this is now an uptrend for us. This is what we consider an uptrend using price action. But on the larger time frame, this is actually the level that we need to break. So this movement in its own is simply a retracement on the larger time frame, as you can see, but it's got a smaller trend within it. And then, you know, obviously on the smaller time frame, once again, when does this change back? Well, this was the level that brought us to the high. It broke right here, right here, a retracement, and it looks basically the exact same as this, but smaller. You can see this is this, this is this, and this area is this. And this is universal. You're going to see this absolutely everywhere. Maybe not as beautiful as this, but the logic still stands. So this again is a retracement. This one is a retracement to this larger break of trend there. And if you zoom in even smaller to the 15-minute or something, you're going to see trends within here. You can't really see them right now, but you can see wicks around. So it makes sense, right? So you really just need to pay attention to what's the bigger trend, because the thing to note is that the trend is going to shift on the smaller time frames first and then on the larger time frames. But the larger time frames have much more value. They have much more power. So this big guy comes back down, breaks here, breaks right there. It does a smaller time frame trend change here and then back here, but the major trend is just still down, as you can see, because it has to break this level to confirm that we were wrong. And that is what I'm just going to say as my next point here. Actually, this is the same thing as this, as you can see. My next point is, when are we wrong? And when we're wrong is when it breaks that high. Because why? Because if we look back here, when it was breaking our highs, it broke a high, continued the trend, broke a high, continued the trend, right? Same idea. On a higher time frame, this is a high. Let me draw this. This is a high, it touched it, little rejection, beautiful. This is perfectly explaining what I'm talking about. And then it popped up. It just popped because there's stops here that all got liquidated, all the buying, and now that's made a new high. So it's continued this range bound uptrend. So you can see, draw a box, and this is what I was talking about in that last video when I was drawing those boxes. So you can see kind of how it works, right? That's the box and it's popping up, right? Now then, another high here, another purple box, and then it popped up and it broke down below now, right? So this was the level that brought us to the high, and we're now invalidated, and we're told that this is now a trend shift. So if we wanted, let's say that we entered short, you want to know where your stop would be. Let's say we just perfectly grabbed the top there. Our invalidation point would be right here, because if it went up and closed up above here, we would be wrong. Now, it's important to remember that it could wick up, stop us out, and then continue down. And then we're still not wrong. We were still right, but we just got stop hunted. And there's nothing you can really do about that except for look for another setup that might still confirm that trade. Right. So how do we continue? We continue and we keep breaking lows. Here's a new low after we've broken this. See a new low? We came back up, that retracement, but we didn't close above this guy. See that? So again, if we had traded here on that perfect retest, this would have been another trade. And wherever you're targeting, I don't care where. Your profit target is the least important thing. Most important thing is your stop. The second most important thing is your entry. Third most important thing is where you want to take your money off. Cool. So see this? This is a level here. Now we've broken it again, continued, retested this supply area, right? I can make a video on supply and demand later. And then we broke this low again, came back up, and this is actually the level that brought us to the low here. So this is the current level that we need to break. See this? So it wicked us above. Oops. So if people had stops there, they would have been stopped out and then continued back down. Mind you, this is still the level that brought us to the low, and then it did come back up. What is this? What is this? And there we go. Now I don't know what's going to happen next, but on a small time frame here, this trend has now shifted back up. And as you can see, it went up rather strong. It's broken that, invalidated us, and it's continued back this major trend shift. As you can see, this was just a small time frame trend shift, right? So we're still biased towards the downside until this is a medium-sized one, this is a large-sized one, and this was a small-sized one. Small trend, right? Cool. So I'll show you another example. This is AUDUSD, and I didn't even really look at it, but let's kind of map it out, kind of how I would view this. First of all, we're in a downtrend. That's quite obvious, right? Now the point on a major time frame, what's the level? The level that brought us to low is here to here, right? But we want to zoom in a little bit so we can see what's actually going on. And let's say that this is roughly the level, and we can kind of ignore this guy here because it's pretty much the same, and we just want to make sure that we're doing what's obvious, right? So if we want to draw here to there, that's the level that brought us to low on a smaller time frame, right? So we did break up above this, as you can see here. We broke back above this. So now this is a retracement, and where is our invalidation point? Well, our validation point is going to be this yellow line there. So if we were long here, that's where we would put our stop. We'd probably enter on some sort of retracement here, and then we'd continue up. And it does look like, you know, it comes back down, and there's obviously going to be little minor trends in here, but it just looks really messy to me, so I'm not going to dive into it. And then we come back up. So here is a clear point where the smaller time frame has now broken above this small leg. I'll draw a box because it's easier to draw, easier to see. So this is the level that brought us to the low on a smaller time frame. So this is the double confirmation in a sense, where the small time frame now aligns with the large time frame, and you can actually see it here too. Is this one lower? This one's about equal. So this one also changed trend, but we'll talk about this because this is roughly the same level and it's not actually invalidated. So our smaller time frame invalidation zone is actually this yellow one now, which is the same as this one. So we have 3 indications of this coming up long here. Broke the level that brought us to the low here, right there. Broke it again here, and it broke it over here. So now this is our uptrend. This is our uptrend, and where we target, I don't care, that's not for this video. We're just gonna follow the trend. So we're breaking levels. Here's a consolidation, breaks above, retests, breaks above, comes up, and now we see this flattening pattern. And in order for us to get above, we'd have to keep making highs. So it does make new highs, kind of here, a little bit new highs, new highs. So the level that's bringing us to the high is, we can just say roughly here is bringing us to the high, right? And when is that going to be broken? Boom, you'll often see it break with conviction, and that's what we're looking for, is these conviction breaks. So now it broke down, it retested the range, got denied, and then continued down. So continued down, continued to break levels. Here's one, breaking down, comes back up. See this? This is the level that brought us to the low. Continued, oops, delete that guy. Continued the trend because it didn't close above this. Continued the trend, broke a new low, didn't come back up, broke a new low. Now this is the level that brings us to the low, right around here. This one or this one, it doesn't matter, they're close enough. And this, oh, it looks like it's actually going to break that uptrend, but it just wicks us below, that's going to probably stop a lot of people out, and then it continues back up. So you can see once again, this level that brought us so low, it's broken, continue back up, and you can see it completely explodes up here, right? Get tons of money, and we'll keep looking at it. This is the level that brought us so low in that sense. Actually, it's down here, but because this is slightly lower, but you can say this also if you want to be safe. So it tested it, rejected, tested again, passed through, and then it retested the zone. So if I draw this once again, look at this. Tested it, rejected, tested again, then broke through, came back, retested the zone. This is your entries, and then went back up. Retest on the breakout once again. Absolutely unbelievable how well this works. Now there are some problems, and you will do some things wrong. And in the next video, I'm going to show you some of the common mistakes. And I'm going to maybe tell you why you don't want to do this as a strategy. But it's very important to know this. Make sure that you join the Discord in the link in the description below. There's a chance you can win different draws, different prizes, things like this. I'm going to be doing a weekly giveaway.